Alrighty, y'all. Today I'm going to be talking about a new release in one of my favorite horror franchises, if not my favorite horror franchise, Evil Dead. And that new entry being Evil Dead Burn. I actually went to go see it last night, and I took a day to marinate on it before I wrote down my thoughts, and I'm now recording this video. And without taking too long to give my definitive opinion, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good entry to continuing untainted franchise. In my opinion, I do not think Evil Dead has yet to have a bad entry, and I'm glad to still be able to say that. And let's just get into my thoughts. And I think before I get into the good, I would like to start with the bad because I don't think I have much to say bad wise. Um, but I guess for starters, hmm. Evil Dead is mainly known, at least from the first three movies, to be somewhat of a horror comedy series, at least for the first three movies and the TV show. It is usually a good juggling act of both genres. And I can say that the Evil Dead Burns, like its last two predecessors, has somewhat of a lacking of humor. Not to say that this movie or its predecessors lacked it or did not have any humor, but I'm saying more that the humor that it's going for, or the darker humor that it's going for, rather than the slapstick variety that we got in the original three films, it may not stick or land for some, or for some, or for most who come to Evil Dead remembering the original three movies. I don't mind it. I actually thought some bits were rather funny. Specifically, uh, well, I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but one particular character was definitely the anchor for the humor here. But I was okay with that. Some people I found do not, but there is it's all a matter of taste. And one sentiment I see a lot of people say about this film is that it is rather dull looking, and thinking back, I would have to somewhat agree. This is a very dark movie, not in tone, but in literal viewing. It is a rather dark and grayish movie. Not to say that you're not able to see anything, like some movies I can think of. But it's very well lit, but it is very dark. The color palette is not diverse at all. I would say it's shot mostly at nighttime, which is no big surprise. This is Evil Dead. What did we expect? But that is a sentiment that I see a lot of people critique this movie for, and I would just have to follow up and agree. Though it didn't really taint my viewing experience because I uh, I myself didn't see it at the time, but the more I think of it, the more I do think it is rather a con of the film. Because looking back at the Evil Dead franchise, their their color palettes can pop, especially the earlier ones, mainly because uh the variety of blood colors. That's all I'm gonna say. This franchise loves its gore, and so do I, in the entertainment value of it. Um, but that's mainly what you go for. Um, one rather big, not necessarily just critique, small critique, um, is the usage of certain flashback sequences pertaining to a specific character. Vague, spoiler free way to say that, but I found to be a bit confusing because I didn't know if this was like it felt random at some points because it just felt like, oh, these are things going on, and then suddenly we stop and remember this moment with this character, and they're struggling with a specific um, relationship. That's how I'm going to put that. And I feel that that could have been utilized better in terms of going flashbacks. Um, I though I think that the character arc for this particular character was handled fine. I understood the message that was trying to be come across, and I think overall that my just the small critique being I think the flashbacks could have been utilized or handled better. It was just very confusing at the time, and the the final thing I want to touch on is just uh, the finale, I guess. Not that it was a disappointing one, just there was certain usage of CGI that I also think could have been done better, but I still don't mind it. I'm not a big stickler for the perfectionism of CGI. I'm I'm a very imaginative person and I don't mind it. Um Overall, I think that is all the main critiques. So, getting out of the negativity, I'm going to go into my pros, and being that I can say for a fact, confirm this feels like an Evil Dead movie, which is actually something very odd to think that I was worrying about, because I think Evil Dead, at least capturing the somewhat vibes of an Evil Dead movie, um, may become harder with the more modern lens, because there's just something so I wouldn't say hard to capture, but it's very distinct in that Evil Dead with its both blending of horror and humor. And I can totally see some people saying that this movie lacks the Evil Dead flair because of the lack of humor. But I don't agree to that entirely. I do think I wouldn't mind some more humorous moments, but overall, I think it does still carry that feeling. Um, Even the other two modern Evil Dead works, the Evil Dead remake or reboot, whatever you want to call it, and Evil Dead Rise, I think have their moments and still have that um, Evil Dead spirit is how I'm going to refer to it as, and I think it makes me hopeful for what we're going to continue to get for the franchise with Evil Dead Wrath in the upcoming years. And yes, so this Evil Dead movie feels like an Evil Dead movie. I am glad to say it. Um, Without again, tiptoeing around spoilers, I think the story is solid. I think for a setup for an Evil Dead movie, I think this is a rather solid one, and I'm glad to say it. I like this main character, though. Not a weak character or a weak protagonist, but y- Ash, you're getting from the first three movies, you're getting like your entertainment value. Though he can be a deeper character if you look into it a bit more and watch the TV show. You have that, but also you have three movies and a TV show, which gives more time to delve into him. Whereas the 2013 reboot movie, there that main character had a lot of had a good character arc throughout the movie that I find very appealing. And then the second movie delved into themes of motherhood with certain characters, and I thought that that usage really developed and gave appeal to those characters as well. And now with this movie, we are again tiptoeing around spoilers, but we have another theme going around with family. I don't think that's too much to say because that's it's one of the main promotions for this movie is like if it's like in-laws, am I right? That's it's pretty much a lot of the funny jokes that I see a lot of people go for. But the toxicity of family, certain families can be toxic. That's a very big themage. And for one particular character, abusive relationships. And I find Evil Dead becoming more of a way to express trauma, especially in the last two movies, with the themes being of addiction and motherhood, or uh, to be somewhere of I kind of compare it to Silent Hill, with people going to Silent Hill for a sort of violent therapy. I find Evil Dead to be starting to become that sort of like people overcoming their struggles through this violent scenario they find themselves in, with overcoming deadites or overcoming a small town in Maine. Both Silent Hill and Evil Dead are essentially just this, again, violent therapy that may not, of course, it wouldn't solve the character's problems, but it helps them to visualize and physically overcome that situation, and overlaps and overcomes their own traumatic past. And I find just something very beautiful about that, that horror itself can tell a somewhat sentimental story of overcoming one's past. And it makes me love the franchise a whole lot more. Um, oh, of course, you're going into an Evil Dead movie, you expect gore. You're gonna get it. This movie is rather uh this is probably the meanest movie in the franchise. This movie does not hold back. This is very yeah. I don't know what much to say. It's just rather it could be gross, it's gonna be mean, it's again, it fits with themes of toxic family and abusive relationships, and you're gonna get that full force. And I just hope you're ready. um, and I think the last thing I would like to touch upon is the excellent camera work. This movie knows how to move. There's so many shots I can think of right now that just stuck with me. Um, and I think it's just really really nice to see that um that Evil Dead is already known for its very creative shots, and I'm glad to see that that isn't dying away anytime soon. And it just enhanced the experience so much more. And overall, I would actually say I enjoyed this more than Evil Dead Rise. And I know some people would say the opposite. I've also said some people that, or saw some people that this movie was really lacking in story and character, and I have to vehemently disagree. Uh, but it's all in taste. It's all subjective. I rather enjoyed it. I thought it was a great experience. A very It made me feel horrified, and this is horror. And I'm happy to say that my favorite franchise is still holding on to that titular throne. And overall, I would give Evil Dead Burn a satisfying 8 out of 10. Um, Go watch it if you enjoy Evil Dead as a whole. And I believe that is it.